If you're someone who desires to be wealthy in your fitness and your faith and your finances and your family, then this video is for you because I'm going to be sharing 5 daily habits that you need to avoid at all costs. Because these habits will either kill your wealth or they'll keep you from reaching it. Before I get into the 5 habits, I want to give you a lens to look through. Because wealth is not money, by the way. Real wealth is your capacity to contribute financially, relationally, mentally, physically, spiritually. And that means you must have the money to give. You must have the love to give. You must have the mentality to help others live out their best lives. That's wealth. That requires 3 things. First, it requires a body that is strong enough to carry the capacity of wealth. Because your body is more than just a meat suit. It's more than just skin, bones, and flesh. But it is your greatest wealth vehicle. For instance, a few months ago, I ended up waking up with tennis elbow. Now, if you don't know what tennis elbow is an inflammation in your elbow, right? Or around the elbow. And honestly, this was the first time that I had it. It was so bad, literally, I couldn't pick up a coffee cup. Just like grab a coffee cup, pick it up, I couldn't pick it up. Because the pain was so bad in my elbow. Now, the crazy part is, I was walking around all day trying to pick up things and acting normal as if I had the strength in my arm and my elbow to pick things up and like it was a regular day. Because in my experience, as long as I left my arm at like a 90 degrees, so I would wear a hoodie, put my hand inside my hoodie, which would hold it like a sling, it was fine. Wasn't hurting at all, but it wasn't until I actually moved it to do something that I would feel it. Right? So I'm walking around. I'll go to pick up something, move my elbow. Hurt. Right? So I quickly realized that there were many things that I couldn't do. The same thing happens in our pursuit of wealth. When our body isn't built to carry the weight of wealth, of success, of business growth, you can forget it. You can want it consciously all you want. But if your body says no, it's not happening, guess what? It's not happening. So you have to have a strong body because a strong body is going to lead to a strong brain, right? Strong brain state. Your brain state is what's going to determine what beliefs you pull from, right? And your beliefs is what's going to drive your behaviors, and your behaviors is what's going to produce your results. It's all a domino effect. It's all a cycle. But everything starts with the foundation, which is the body. Second, you must have a mind that is sharp enough to function at a high level every single day. You have to be able to think with clarity. You have to be able to make wise decisions daily. Because if you can't, there's going to be no forward progression. Right? You have to be able to do this all under the pressures of the day-to-day obstacles, right? Everybody faces challenges. There's not one person that has lived this life that has not had a challenge. So you have to be able to think with clarity. You have to be able to make wise decisions under the pressures of what the day offers you. And the third is you must have skills. You must have skills that create income, and you must have skills to help you to work well with people. Because honestly, if you can't communicate effectively, if you can't get along with people, you're going to have a tough time creating some wealth. Because you won't be building the relationships and you won't be able to sell effectively. You need people and you need to be able to articulate the value that you can give to people. So if you miss any of those 3, your chances of building real wealth, slim to none. Easy. Now, that's how you build wealth. Now let's talk about what do we need to avoid? What are some things that we can avoid that are within our control so we don't stunt our own growth in our desire or our process to building real wealth? Now, the first thing that destroys wealth is living without a clear vision. Now, I want you to think about this. Do you think it's possible to build real wealth to grow a business, to create some success, to create the life you desire if you're constantly distracted? No, it's impossible. Because distraction pulls you away from the very things that would make you successful, the very things that would create your wealth, that would give you progress. But here's where most people get it twisted about distraction, is they think they get distracted because they can't focus. They have an inability to focus. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is distortion. Because distraction is a symptom of a distorted vision. Now, when I say vision, I'm not just talking about creating a vision board, putting it on your wall, looking at it once a month. I'm talking about a dream that gives you direction. A picture of a future that is so clear, so specific, that it guides every single decision that you make. I remember when I used to be out of shape. Now, out of shape for me back then, it was 135 pounds, weak and skinny. That was me, right? Because I had no vision for what I wanted my body to look like, I ate what I wanted. I ate how I wanted, right? I was lazy. I didn't work out, didn't move my body. My days had no structure at all. I was just out here doing what I thought living was. However, now that I have a vision for my health, for my physique, for my life, that vision guides me on my decisions. It guides me on what I eat, guides me when I eat, how much protein I get, how I spend my time, how much sleep I get, how much time I spend at the gym, if I'm going to work out, how I work out. It guides the decisions that I make from day to day. So having a vision for your life is one of the most important things that you can do for yourself. Because if you can't lead yourself, if you don't know where you're going, then you can't lead yourself. And when your vision is unclear, your mind has nothing to lock onto. Has nothing to filter your decisions through. Nothing to say yes to, nothing to say no to. It just goes with whatever. Whatever sounds good in the moment. But guess what? Where there is no intention, there is no ascension. I'm going to say it again. Where there is no intention, there is no ascension. So in your vision, you must decide who you want to become and where you want to go. Because if you don't decide, guess what's going to happen? The world's just going to decide it for you. Your environment will decide for you. Your circumstances will decide for you. The people around you will decide for you. And I promise you, you won't like them. You won't like their choices. So it's best that you decide where you want to go and who you want to become for yourself. So that's first, not having a vision for your life. The second habit that destroys wealth is simple, not exercising. Now, most people treat their body as if it's something they'll just take care of later, right? I'm functioning, so I'm fine. But let me ask you this. What is the purpose of building wealth if you aren't healthy, strong, whole enough to enjoy it? What is the purpose of wanting to have a bunch of money, wanting to have beautiful relationships? What is the purpose of wanting to help and serve other people spiritually and mentally, to be able to help other people get strong? What is the purpose if you aren't strong enough within yourself to enjoy it? You may get the money, you may get the relationships, you may get the time freedom, but if your vehicle breaks down in the process or right after you cross the finish line, what is the point? I remember this guy I went to college with, right? And he was one of those people that had a nice car, but never took care of it. As long as he had some wheels, as long as he could get from point A to point B, he was good. He never got oil changes, never changed his tire, unless it was flat. Always left his gas on E. right? Pull up to the gas station, put $5, pull off, boom, keep it moving, right? People would always tell them, look, if you take care of your car will take care of you. You don't want to regret not taking care of it, and then you end up stranded somewhere, right? But guess what? He didn't listen. As long as he had some wheels, he was good, right? And then one day, he was headed back to PG County, and because he wasn't taking care of his car, guess what happened? Ended up getting stuck midway. On his way back home for the weekend, ended up getting stuck. Car locked up on him. But to come to find out, it was because he hadn't put oil in it so long, the engine locked up. And on top of that, he couldn't afford a new car. So guess what happened? He spent the rest of his time at school with no car. Crazy, right? The same applies. The idea is not just building wealth, but sustaining it and enjoying it. That's the idea of building wealth, right? Other than that, what is the point? And you may think to yourself, Lou, man, I don't have time to exercise. I'm building a business. I got a family, right? I'm doing all of these things. Life is just too crazy. Everything's just moving so fast. I'm just trying to keep up with everything. But look, I heard E.T. say, that's Eric Thomas, by the way, not having time to exercise is like having a car and saying you don't have time to put gas in it. Somebody make it make sense. Not having time to exercise is like having a car and not having time to put gas in it. Please make it make sense. Your physiology always takes precedence over your psychology. I'm going to say that again. Your physiology, which is your body, always takes precedence over your psychology. Why? Because our body state that determines our brain state. Our brain state determines our beliefs. Our beliefs determine our behavior, and our behavior determine our results. That is the cycle. I want you to remember this. A body that is out of shape creates a weak brain power. A body that is out of shape creates weak brain power. Weak brain power disempowers your beliefs. And guess what? If you got disempowering beliefs, that's going to lead to poor behavior. Poor behavior is going to produce poor results. Remember that cycle. Body, brain, beliefs, behavior, results. The people who are winning are the ones, and the ones that are performing at the highest level, they're not skipping workouts. Their workout is their competitive advantage because it's where they actually build the physical and the mental capacity to carry the weight of wealth. Wealth can be heavy. Leadership is a part of wealth. Running a family, leading and guiding your family is a part of wealth. Making a bunch of money is a part of wealth. Being strong is a part of wealth. Physically strong is a part of wealth. Right? But you have to have the capacity to be able to carry that weight. Because there is a large pool of people who are out here that are not building real wealth. All they want is the external. They want the money without the work. Right? They're just out here living this false reality of greatness. But real wealth is your capacity to contribute. If you're out here just running solo, right, only thinking about yourself, then what are you doing? Like, what are you out here for? If your goal is not to serve people, to offer value to people, to get better every single day, so you can help serve others, then what are you doing? So skipping the gym, you're not just skipping a workout. You're not just skipping reps and sets and you getting strong in the muscle, but you're skipping the mental sharpness and capacity that builds a real business, that helps you to live every single day sharp, disciplined, focused, with clarity, with purpose. That's what you're skipping. So not exercising is one of the biggest things that can kill your wealth. And the third habit that destroys your wealth is not eating with structure or intention. Here's the simplest way I can put this. Food is the fuel for your life. So if you eat like trash, you're going to feel like trash. But if you eat like a champion, guess what? You're going to feel like a champion. It's really that simple. Most people eat food for convenience, for comfort, not realizing that mindset is what kills your decision making, kills your creativity. It makes you fat and sluggish, insecure about yourself, right? You grab whatever's convenient. You skip meals. You overeat. Because you skipped a meal, now you're sitting down hungry. When you should eat, you don't. When you shouldn't eat, you do. You run all day long on caffeine, and then you wonder why you feel like trash. No energy, no life, no get up and go, because your get up and go got up and went, and now you don't have enough to go find it. Right? I had this client that I was training who was always tired, all day, every day. So I asked him, like, and why are you tired all the time? He's like, well, I work 12 hours. I have this going on. I have that going on. And he gave me a laundry list of problems making him tired. So then I asked him to give me a rundown of like the day to day. Like, what does a typical day look like? How's your day structured? Well, I start with a cup of coffee. I check some emails. I come in here to the workout. I go home. I get back to work. Sometimes I don't get off till 8. Sometimes I don't get off till 9. I'm really supposed to get off at 5. So I'm sitting up there looking at him like, thinking to myself like, where's the structure? None of this isn't, like, we have a plan for a reason. Like, none of this is in the plan. So I asked, like, when do you eat? He said, well, half the time I forget to eat breakfast because after I leave the workout, I just either don't feel like it or I get right back on to work and I just forget, honestly. Okay, so breakfast. What about lunch? Well, lunch sometimes I can't because I'm on calls and I'm doing this and that. And I'll grab something here and there. All right, dinner. With dinner, I'm typically eating late because I'm not getting off to 8 or 9. And he's going down this list. I'm like, okay, how much water are you drinking a day? Not that much. Well, there's part of your problem right there. Right? You aren't giving yourself the proper fuel to perform at a high level. So how can you not expect to be tired? So we got him on some meal timing. A meal timing plan. Rules were simple. Doesn't matter if you're hungry or not. Stick to your meal timing plan. Because if you wait till you're hungry, it's going to be too late. And you'll likely grab something you shouldn't be grabbing. You'll likely eat more than you shouldn't eat. Right? So once we got him going on that, it was a night and day difference. As a high performer, you cannot afford to be running on E because your success is built on the quality of your decisions. And you can't make the best decisions from a depleted body, a body that you haven't fueled properly. What happens when you don't put gas in the car? The car ain't going to run, is it? The world does not pause and take time for you to recover and get yourself together. Right? Opportunities don't wait for you to feel ready. You have to show up fueled. You have to show up ready every single day. Structure your eating the same way you structure your calendar. It's that simple. That was the message to him. Structure your eating the same way you structure your calendar. Calendar was on point. Work stuff was on point. But when it came to the eating, when it came to fueling, it wasn't. But we got him right. So you have to structure your day with intention, right? You just don't wake up a high performer. You have to intentionally plan to be a high performer. You have to be intentionally planned with purpose. Because the person who fuels their body right, they just don't feel better. They think better. They decide better. They lead better. They look better, right? And overall, they are better. Why? Because they fueled themselves to perform at a higher level than someone who doesn't. That's number 3, not eating with structure. Number 4, the fourth habit that destroys wealth is a code that so many people love to live by. And that's grinding, 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 and giving yourself no time to rest. And I get it. We live in a hustle culture. Things are moving fast, especially with technology and AI and all the things that are changing in the world. But we've been sold this idea that the more you grind, the more you're going to get, which is just not true, right? If you can grind 14 hours a day, you're going to get more than the person who's not grinding, which is just not true. Most of the people that I know that build real wealth, they actually work less and make more. Doesn't that sound good? Just don't sound good. It is good because that's what they do. But they build the right systems, the right habits to help them to be able to do that. See, because you got two types of time, right? And they're living in a different time than the people who are just grinding. You got Chronos, you got Kairos. Chronos is clock time, right? That's you working 14 hours a day. Kairos, right? That's the quality of time. It's like, okay, so what does this time mean? If I take my time and spend time on developing my communication, can I potentially sell more people at a higher price versus just working for somebody else, right? Spending 12 hours a day to get a paycheck at the end of the week. Maybe if I can get a bunch of people in a room together, I have really good communication, I have a really good value prop, then maybe more people can buy. I can sell it for a high ticket and boom, done. So that's what they do. They're not out here grinding. So we've been sold that lie that the more you grind, the more you get, which is just not true. But let me ask you a question. If a carpenter, right, who is, building a house or something, putting pillars in the house, or the structure of the house, if they're just grinding that wood with no intention, what do you think happens? They just end up with a pile of dust. Now, how beneficial is that dust going to be to that house? It's not going to be beneficial at all because you can't use it. So yes, you need to grind, but you need to also grind with intention. Same thing happens to us when we're just grinding all day. Sleep is for suckers, right? Rest and sleep are not rewards. They are requirements to perform at a high level. So the people that are running themselves into the ground, thinking they're building something great, they aren't. They really aren't. They're really destroying the very thing that wealth requires most, and that's themselves. You, me, right? When you're just constantly grinding, all you're doing is just destroying yourself. You may have some external success. Like, I'm not denying that. But I also can only imagine how many relationships you destroy, how many people you mistreat, right? Because when you're just grinding, no sleep, all gas, no brakes, you get tired. And I know a lot of people that when they're tired, they get grumpy, they get impatient, they get irrational. I know plenty of people like that. Probably the majority of people like that. I probably get like that. All right? So you have to be intentional about your rest and recovery, because that's what makes you sharp day in and day out. That's what's going to give you the energy to wake up with a clear head and a clear purpose and to be able to make quality decisions day in and day out. All right, so that's number 4. Is you can't be all gas and no brakes, all grind and no rest. The last and final habit that destroys wealth is surrounding yourself with low standards. Because the environment is the most powerful influence in the world, right? It doesn't matter how strong you think you are. It doesn't matter how much power you think you have. If you stay in an environment long enough, it would eventually have an effect on you. Think about it like this. If you place a frog, right, and you place him in boiling water, he'll just jump straight out and say, ouch, too hot. He would literally jump out and you'll probably hear him say, ouch, it's too hot, right? But if you put him in some comfortable, lukewarm water, he'll get in there, swim a little bit, chill. If he can find a beach chair or create a beach chair, he'll sit in that. He'll lay back with his legs stretched out, legs crossed, right hands behind his head, chilling. Throw him some sunglasses in there. He'll enjoy that. Sitting there talking about, this is the life. But if you slowly turn that temperature up on him, guess what? He's not going to jump out. He'll still sit there, chilling. You turn it up some more. You turn it up some more. Turn it up eventually to where it's boiling. Guess what he'll do? Slowly boil himself to death. He'll boil himself to death without even realizing it. And the same applies to us. When you surround yourself around low standards, whether that's people in your circle, the music you listen to, the content you consume, the conversations you entertain, you don't feel like you're losing something. You don't feel like you're setting yourself up for failure immediately. Like, you don't feel that danger. It feels comfortable. It feels normal. It feels natural. It feels lukewarm. It feels like a good time. But guess what? Slowly over time, you'll begin to unconsciously blend with that environment. Right? Their ceiling will become your ceiling. Their habits will become your habits. Their thoughts will become your thoughts. Their beliefs become your beliefs. Right? And it will quietly begin to replace who you are as a person. The things you think as a person. The things you're going after. The goals you're going after. But also it works both ways. It just doesn't work in low environments, also works that way in high environments. You place yourself in high environments, the people that are helping you level up your mental, helping you level up in your beliefs, in your physique. You hang around those people long enough. And guess what? It will quietly begin to replace your own limited beliefs, the own limitations that you live by. Because now you're borrowing their belief just by being in their environment and being around them. You're seeing that it's possible. And the more you stay around it, you start to believe, oh man, it's possible for them. Shoot, it's got to be possible for me. Like, I know they good, but they ain't that good. I can do this too. Right? But you won't even know that it's happening. That is the power of environment. You can be the most talented, the most disciplined, the most driven entrepreneur in the room, right? Full of people who are comfortable, average, people who have no vision, who celebrate mediocrity. And over time, that environment will pull you down to their level. A saying that I like to say is, mediocrity cannot be upheld in an environment that is dominated by strength and excellence. But the reverse is also true. Strength and excellence cannot be upheld in an environment that is dominated by weakness and mediocrity. It's like that saying that says, show me your circle and I'll show you your future. Show me what you listen to. Show me what you read. Show me what you watch every day. And I'll show you who you're becoming. Your environment is either pulling you up or it's pushing you down. Right? There is no in between. There is no such thing as maintaining. So you have to audit your environment, the people you're around, the things you take in through your eyes and ears. That is the most simplest way to put it. That is your environment. Everything that you're taking in through your eyes and ears. Right? Look at the 5 people closest to you. Look at the content that you're filling your mind with. The music that you're listening to. The conversations that you're involved in. Right? Take inventory of those things. Start to pay attention to those things because they're not harmless, right? But they're just like that frog, slowly boiling, right? And you're either boiling yourself to death or you living a life, right? But I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you share this with somebody you feel might be able to get value and benefit from this episode. And I will catch y'all in the next one.